You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I can do those things because I'm not a hero. I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be.
They'll hunt you.
You'll hunt me. You'll condemn me. Set the dogs on me. Because that's what needs to happen. Because sometimes the truth isn't good enough. Sometimes people deserve more. Sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded.
And on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rank yourself?
7.
Nicki Minaj gives herself a 7 on the hotness scale, just one of many surprise confessions from the rapper during an Instagram Live with image and dating expert Kevin Samuels.
It's not a problem with men in marriage and relationships. Our women are preoccupied with doom, gloom, fear.
He's known for giving black women controversial dating advice on social media. Nicki invited Kevin to go live after asking fans for dating advice questions, which led to the whole ratings debate.
What do you rate me?
Nicki kicks off the conversation by asking Kevin, who once rated rapper Sweetie as a 6, to rate her on a scale from 1 to 10.
Is that what we're starting out with?
Yeah.
What I typically don't do is I don't typically rate people. I ask if they rate themselves. I usually ask this question.
So let's start it that way.
Kevin asks Nicki a series of questions, including her dress size,
I guess a 4?
and what she rates herself fresh-faced out of the shower.
7.
Can't use 7. That's why 7 is the most common answer.
Really?
But the dating expert says Nicki's wrong. She's actually a 9.
You have the facial symmetry, and you get additional points for eyes. Full lips.
Once that was out of the way, Nicki got into other people's business, chiming in on some hot topics she's seen on TikTok.
Black women, can we stop talking about if these successful black men want us or not? Like, can we just focus on us and we be successful, and then we go out there and we decide who we want?
Okay, my Evermore brothers. Obviously, the clip that you just saw was from Entertainment Tonight. And I remember Dr. Thunder when he was talking about Elle Magazine, right? The Obsidian's encounter with Elle Magazine, which is a mainstream media publication. I remember Elle Magazine back in the 70s when I was a kid. So it's been around a long time, and it's about as mainstream as you can get. So when DJ Academics talked about the Shade Room and TMZ and all that other stuff, as far as mainstream, Elle Magazine predates it by a good 50 years. But he didn't think the Elle Magazine was mainstream enough. He thought that the Manosphere would never go mainstream, or the personalities in the Manosphere would never go mainstream. And Entertainment Tonight is about as mainstream as you can get. And guess who was on it? Talking about the same things we've been arguing about. The illustrious Kevin Samuels. Like, if you ask for it, guess what? The universe will present the receipts, sometimes faster than you would like. And I remember us arguing about this. What is going to go mainstream? What is it going to look like? And people clutching their pearls and fainting on the couch about virtually nothing. Because your point of view, or what you feel your point of view, didn't get represented in the way that you thought it should. Just like Tasha K fans wanted her to take off the head of Kevin when he went to interview. You gotta talk to people, okay? You're gonna have to encounter people. We cannot stay in our bubble, in our cave for another 15 years. No, I don't want to do that. I'm sorry, I don't. And I was on Art New Styles panel. We were talking about something completely different, and somebody barged in to tell me about this bullshit. Why? Because she talked about being an independent woman and women valuing themselves, and that hurt your ears, which is something we've heard over the past, I'd say 15 years, and heard worse. Abort black babies. You had women in this sector have pictures of a black man hanging in a tree while they're swinging, okay, on a swing. And this little bullshit that Nicki Minaj said upset you? Are you really kidding? I'm gonna say, are you fucking kidding me? This upsets you? Grown ass men, this upsets you to the point where we're ranting and raving and throwing tantrums at each other. Are you kidding? Small potatoes. And I'm looking at it, they're basically getting along. They have differences of opinion. What you think she's going to say? Oh, Kevin, you're right. And I think that we should be weak and submissive and be more like Latinas and cook and clean for our men. And her? Really? Come on. That's what you really expected. That would have been a win for you. And before I even get started on this, man, about this, because this is really troubling for me. Okay? Really troubling for me. Because I was listening to Dr. T's live, right? Dr. T.S.I. Johnson's live. And he was discussing the stuff that we didn't know about Emmett Till and Emmett Till's death. So I'm listening to this and, I'm already not having the greatest of days because you know how it's busy and it's kind of hectic and you know how things get. My grandson, I'm helping him with his homework and, it is what it is when you have to deal with kids. I'm a grandfather. I got to deal with a 9-year-old, right? Not my job, but hey, it is what it is. And Dr. T is playing this video, right, by this professor. And she talking about the death of Emmett Till and how they had to fish out his body. Okay, we all know that. We're all aware of that. But when she said that before they found his body, they're dragging this river for Emmett Till's body. And what they found out, hurt my heart. Before they even found his body, they found 7 other little black boys' bodies in that river where they had been dumped. And Emmett Till happened to be the 8th one. They had to drag up 7 bodies before they found his that had been dumped the same way his was. So I'm sitting there listening to this stuff and I'm shaking because I'm black pill and I've learned to be black pill and I've learned to be neutral about this stuff. It is what it is and stuff happens no matter how ugly it is. And I'm sitting here shaking because there was so much hatred that had been pent up. Now I wanted to hate every white person on the planet when I heard that you so callously cared about black life. And it's one thing, hey, if you're a black man, you're an adult black man. Okay, you're an adult. You handle what comes to you. But little freaking black boys that you so callously just throw in a river because you can and just dump their bodies like they're nothing. And I've been down south and I know how black men and boys got disappeared. Why do you think Richard Williams had to leave the goddamn South? Because he would have been disappeared just like his friend. That's why he left. They didn't tell that in King Richard. They didn't tell you why he left Shreveport, Louisiana, because his friend got disappeared and was never found again. And he didn't want to be the second person to get disappeared. So he left. They don't tell you that. So that's what I'm dealing with. And that's way more important to me than what the fuck Nicki Minaj said to Kevin Samuels, right? Because to me, it's a nothing burger. And everybody's all in a tizzy because Nicki Minaj and Kevin Samuels and Nicki Minaj might have rolled her eyes at him and she might have looked bothered. And it was just a bad look for the goddamn Manosphere. And you know what? I didn't give a flying fuck about it. Not one flying fuck. Because compared to what I heard out of Dr. T's mouth and what I heard that lady said about Emmett Till and them other 7 black boys that we don't even know who their goddamn names are because their bodies were so decomposed they couldn't be recognized. That bothered me. That bothered me way more than any of this bullshit about how we look in the goddamn public. And then 10 years before, to the day, almost to the day, the Army executed his father. How come his father wasn't there around to protect him? Because the Army executed him for so-called assaulting a white woman in Europe. Same shit, 10 years apart. That bothered me way more than Nicki Minaj supposedly rolling her eyes at Kevin Samuels and telling black women that they need to be independent, which is what the goddamn schools have been teaching women, all women, regardless of what color they were for the last fucking 60 years. It's coming out of your schools. We've talked about this for the past 8 years. It comes out of your schools. And it's spreading across the whole globe. But you guys don't listen to that because you're so locked into your bubble because you want to see your black woman get her comeuppance, which the universe and the environment is going to do that anyway. I know this. Been telling you this for the past 8 years, but nobody listens, and that frustrates me. So I was on the panel with Edward and a few other people, and Grinch got up there, and we had this big old blowout over some bullshit, in my opinion, because we as a group felt disrespected by Nicki Minaj, who in the scheme of things doesn't mean squat. In the scheme of things doesn't mean squat. In the large scheme of things, even in this country, it doesn't mean squat. All she is a means to an end. That's all I saw her as. Means to an end. A pathway through a door that you have to go through. Now that I've gotten it off my chest, because I had to call Dr. T afterward. Okay. Because I'm so frustrated that intelligent human beings that I know black men can have such small minds sometimes and can't see the larger picture. Oh, she disrespected Kevin, and we can't take that. Oh, we black men have been taking fucking L's since we got here in 1619. One little L is not going to hurt us, if you indeed call that an L. You can't call it an L because actually it was a win, which I told you was a goddamn win, because the next fucking day he shows up on ET, Entertainment Tonight, in the mainstream, which is exactly what the fuck I told you would happen in the first goddamn place. And they were talking about his harsh advice that he gives to black women, which is your entree up to the next level. You ask for receipts, the universe will show them to you, and sometimes sooner than you expect. That's exactly what the fuck happened. The next day, one of my subs sent it to me. Not the Shade Room, not No Jumper, which Kevin did already, not the Breakfast Club, which they mentioned him already. Entertainment Tonight. You can't get any more mainstream than that. Now, regardless of what we think of who said what, who came up with what first, and who did whatever it is, man, I contribute as much as any goddamn body to this space as far as fucking talking points. Bar none. And I don't say shit. I've done as much research as any goddamn body in this fucking space. And I don't say shit. And you guys complain about what he said. He's taking my talking points to the next, to the mainstream. And I don't like how it was represented. Who gives a shit? Does the work get done? Does the rock get moved? That's all I care about. Does the rock get moved? Do your voices get heard? That's all I give a shit about. I don't give a shit about your goddamn hurt feelings. I don't give a shit about you think that somebody took an L. I don't give a shit that you don't think he's man enough or masculine enough to represent you. I don't give a fuck. Grow the fuck up. You don't have to get dog sicked on you, or get rocks upside your head, or get fucking disappeared and thrown in a goddamn river to get shit done anymore. And 90% of you Negroes would not get out in fucking streets and do it any goddamn way. If you don't like how he's represented, you don't like what the representation is, do the goddamn work and you move up to mainstream and you do it. Oh, you weren't picked. Oh, you didn't work the 18, 19, 20 hours that Kevin did to put himself in this position. Did you? No. As a matter of fact, you didn't. Okay. We had the same shit last year with the goddamn PhDs. But why are they here? They look here to take over the space. 2 years ago. And that bullshit that I heard, I ain't say nothing last year because you know what? I respected the members, right? I respected them. They have a right to feel how they feel. They did. They have a right to feel how they feel. If this is what they wanted, I respected them. Well, remember that we got to heal before we build bullshit, because you thought things were moving too fast and you didn't like the direction that the Manosphere was going, because you thought that 2 years ago, because we're moving too fast, it was going to collapse. Guess what happened? Nothing. Manosphere grew. Instead of having one PhD or 2 PhDs or 3 PhDs, we got about 3 or 4 more, and a couple of lawyers and some add-ons. And we even have other PhDs that wouldn't get off their asses and do some work. They don't like what's going on in the Manosphere. They don't like how it's represented. So they want to come in with a counter narrative to prove that they have a better way of doing things and representing black men and black boys. Do I agree? I don't know. Probably not. But guess what? They're here to do some work. Can they build a better mousetrap? I don't know. But guess what? They're still here to do some work. They weren't here 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They weren't even here 1 year ago, but they're here now. Why? Because all of a sudden there's an issue. Because the meme of the manosphere, the black manosphere, is starting to spread. And these ideas are starting to get out. And all of a sudden, we're not the so-called beta males and incels and losers that the mainstream media had tabbed us 5 years ago. Now we're forced to be reckoned with. Now they have to hear us. The reason Nicki Minaj said anything and brought Kevin up is because guess what? He was causing a disturbance in the force on her channel because all her subs were complaining about him interfering with them getting high value males or males that they consider high value. We're having a discussion. Who qualifies for what? I can tell you 5 years ago, they weren't even having this discussion. 5 years ago, we had to prove that niggas wasn't shit. That's what we had to prove. We had to prove that we even worthy of having this goddamn discussion that we're having now. And all of a sudden the tables have turned, okay? Instead of us begging to get to the table and begging them to come back to the table, we're setting the goddamn terms of what was on the goddamn table. And 5 years ago, 2015, was it 7 years ago when I first got here? That shit was unthinkable. You couldn't even get a black blog to actually mention who the fuck we were and what the fuck we're doing. Now we got people in Elle magazine writing about us. You have ET, Entertainment Tonight, actually having one of our guys being promoted, whether you like it or not. You have academics actually coming and debating us about what's going on and what's going on in our schools and what's going on with black boys and black men. You have white women afraid that what we're doing and what we're talking about is going to affect their market value and the price they have to pay to get their goddamn men. It's never happened before. The black manosphere has gone from an also ran and a goddamn joke, because it was a joke when I first came here. And the white manosphere thought of us as a goddamn joke. We're not a joke no more. We're not, before then, we wasn't even the joke. We were the butt end of the goddamn joke when I first got here. It's not the case anymore. And every fucking year, every 6 months, the manosphere is supposed to implode because of talking points. It's supposed to implode because we were talking to women. Nobody said a goddamn thing about talking to women. We're actually going back and forth with Cynthia G and her crew and Chrissy and Crystalline Kerrison that said far worse than what Nicki Minaj was saying. We'd have kissed the floor 6, 7 years ago if Nicki Minaj had a conversation with any one of us. And now we think we're too good. But we think because we supposedly took an L, which we didn't, because we actually won, because we actually moved the goalpost forward. We actually moved the rock another inch. That's a win, in my opinion. Now, y'all can dally that however you want. Was it luck? I think it was luck. Was it divine intervention? I think it was, because him being there and her pulling him up, because she didn't have to do that. What's the first thing she said? I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. So that means somebody at her level has heard of us. Because why? Because her constituents are complaining about it, because it's bothering them. And the environment is contributing to all that, which is what I told Kevin 2 years ago before he blew up. When COVID first started, I said, they're coming to you. Number one, I don't have to tell you to be ready because I know you're ready. And there's no telling how long this is going to last. But while it lasts and while these chicks are under pressure, number one, ride it till the wheels fall off, and 2, make these broads pay. And number 3, earn your goddamn money, because when it's all over, I don't want to hear that you're broke. I don't want you to be a poor righteous teacher. That's my job. That's why I had to talk to Dr. T. I would love to call you small-minded, but I don't think you're small-minded. I think you guys are short-sighted. You're letting, basically, I wouldn't say she's a nobody. She's a performer. The only influence she got is social media and people are her fans. But when it comes down to fucking policy and getting shit changed, Nicki Minaj is helpless. She's not the people that we need. And I think I'm gonna put the clip in front of it from The Dark Knight. Commissioner Gordon, when he said, Kevin is not maybe the leader that we deserve, but he's the one that we need right now. And we have to make do with that. We didn't pick him. The mainstream media picked Kevin. They plucked him up out of the ether, plucked him up out of the soup we call the black manosphere, and put him on stage and put him out front and unfortunately put the whole black manosphere on his shoulders as a representative. He's in the seat. There's nothing that you can do about it. You can complain till the gods tear this earth apart. Come back home and actually claim this earth. Okay, you can complain because it ain't your choice. It ain't your call. Because if you had that kind of jack, you had that kind of power, you'd have turned it over already, but you don't. Stop playing. Stop playing with me. This is an environment that you're in. This is an environment that you have. And these are the goddamn cards that are on the motherfucking table. And you're going to have to play the cards whether you like it or not. And you bitching about what card is being turned over and how the hand is played is not going to make a goddamn bit of difference. Gotta let the fucking hand play out. You wouldn't even wait a week to let the hand fucking play out to see how it would play. And guess what? The card turned over to a winning hand. And now you gotta deal and play the next hand. And I really believe that the real reason that you guys are worried about, because you guys know that you're not motherfucking ready. You ain't prepared for this. You're not. And that's the problem. You're scared because you ain't prepared. You're too busy backbiting and beefing over bullshit. And you're scared that when the lights come on, they're gonna dig this shit up and they're gonna find out that you're not fucking ready. And I believe that's really what it is. That's my personal belief. Now, I was just gonna just talk about it, and it's supposed to be a nicer video instead of the rant that it turned out to be. Because I really don't like rants like this. And I really don't like chastising people about this because it's over some goddamn small bullshit. You would think that Kevin just ripped the Manosphere apart and talked about everybody and just completely betrayed the whole Manosphere over an 18 goddamn minute video that was basically nothing. It's basically an interview. She was basically testing him to see where he was. That's all it was a test, and he passed. Last time I heard, if you pass the test, that's a win. You might not like how he passed it, because you thought he gave in too much. He wasn't man enough. He didn't keep it real enough, but he passed. He collected his $200. He passed go, collected his $200 and moved on to the next square. The question is, will you? When it's your turn, will you pass go? Will you collect your money and move on to the next square? Obsidian did. Kevin did. But will you? Will he even get to the goal line? That's the question you should ask yourself. Not what Kevin did or what the space is going to be. Are you fucking ready when the lights shine on you? Because that's all you can do. You can't do nothing about Kevin or Obsidian or anybody else in this space. The only person you can control is you. And if you're not ready, shame on you. I warned you about this shit 4 years ago. I warned you this shit 2 years ago. I warned you this 3 years ago, before COVID even happened. That they were already coming back to the table slowly, but they were coming. And you guys have nothing to say. You ain't got nothing to say, which is what I thought. You don't even know what you want, which is what I thought. 3 years hence, after I said it, they're coming back to the table. What are you going to ask for? They haven't even sorted out your goddamn feelings yet. You don't even know what to ask for. If they did come to you on bended knee, you wouldn't know what to do with them. But let me go ahead and shut off this mic before I rev up again, because I am not happy. And I have to have Dr. T talk me off that ledge, because I am not happy. I am not happy of getting all these goddamn messages about a minor incident, a nothing burger, which anybody with any kind of sense would know exactly what happened and what was going to happen next. At least you should. At least if you listened to me, you should have known. You should be able to read these situations if you practice. Just like my grandson, but with his math. If you had practiced your timetables and done what I told you to do, basically you've been able to do this work in 5 minutes. The reason you're struggling is because you're not ready. But before I get wound up again, let me go ahead and drop the mic. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys.